and welcome to Business Connections, a program put on by the Dayton Area Chamber of Commerce. I'm Holly Allen, Director of Marketing and Communications at the Chamber. And we're always looking at the Chamber for ways to help businesses grow. And one of the ways we've recognized we can do that is through diversity. When businesses incorporate diversity, they can bring new ideas to the table, and that leads to successes in many different ways. And so to recognize businesses that are doing that and doing that well, we've partnered with the NCCJ of Greater Dayton to recognize those organizations that have created a workplace culture that really encourages diversity. And I am so proud today to have two of our winners for 2016. We have Liz Heitner from Synchrony Financial and Marsha Bonhart with the Dayton Contemparary Dance Company, also known as DCDs.
Hello, Holly.
Hello, ladies. Thank you for being with us today. Congratulations to both of you. This is a big honor. We have two winners this year. Liz, I'll start with you. How did you find out that Synchrony was a winner?
Well, I think I actually found out from Mary Tyler. She sent the note. One of the gals on my staff, Heidi Milne, who's a Vice President of Human Resources, she'd really been instrumental in putting together the application, and I think we were the last entry, but fortunately we had a lot of
lucky.
Yes, and we had a lot of great content, so we were just so honored, and my whole site is just thrilled but with this recognition.
Great. Absolutely. Marsha, what's your story? How'd you find out?
Our corporate writer told us, and he found out, of course, through Mary Tyler as well, but sharing it with the organization, with the employees, was so exciting. He was so excited. He writes extremely well, and he worked really, really hard on the application. And so when he came, his face was glowing, and he said, we won. I said, what are you talking about? We won the diversity award. And I was like, oh my God. You know, so like little kids around the office and just clapping and excited and grateful. Yeah. Very, very grateful. We're a small company, and doing big things in terms of diversity. So we were very, very grateful to be recognized for the work that is actually part of a legacy.
Yeah, I'm glad you point that out, because DCDs, you're right, is not very big. But that goes to show that it doesn't take a large workforce to incorporate really great diversity policy.
Exactly.
And so we're glad to have a diverse couple of winners here that can really show us how this can be done in different settings. So Liz, can you tell us about how your organization, how your business puts emphasis on diversity? What's your game plan, and what do you benefit? What's the benefit from?
Sure. So at Synchrony, we recognize that we are greater together. We are greater with a diverse and inclusive culture that truly promotes individuals bringing their whole selves, their unique talents, together to make our organization more effective, bring us closer to our customers, propel innovation, also ensure that we've got in place good decision making as an organization, and there's healthy tension and challenging, and not a groupthink syndrome that sometimes can go into effect. From our board to our senior leadership, our CEO, Margaret Keene, who is a female CEO of a financial services company, which is definitely a differentiator in our sector, but hopefully in the future won't be. There's a tremendous commitment across the board to ensure that we have in place the infrastructure, the processes, as well as we're recruiting people who get it, who are the real deal and understand how important this is to our organization's future.
Is it something you approach with employees when you bring them on board? Do you talk about this?
Sure. It's actually, we started Synchrony. We were part of an IPO that was July of 2014, and we actually separated from our former parent company last November. So we essentially had to start from scratch to build a brand in the labor market. And our commitment to diversity, our values, have really resonated with the labor market and with young people that we're recruiting in universities. And it's something that, unfortunately is a bit of a differentiator. Not all organizations have the tangible commitment, the tangible processes, the infrastructure in place to execute on truly driving diversity throughout their organizations. And, I hope that, again, in the future that will not always be the case, but for us, it's a lot more than words on paper. And we have very savvy prospective candidates in the labor market, and they're asking the right questions to assess and really understand, are we for real? And, fortunately for me and my team, across the board, end to end, I think we've got a really consistent message, and we've got the proof points to back it up.
You think about what an opportunity, but also what a challenge to kind of start from scratch and come up with what this policy will look like. How do you do that and put pen to paper and make sure you have a good policy in place?
Well, again, it's all about having that leadership vision and that leadership understanding of how important this is to our organization. We then have in place 7 diversity networks, and this was certainly something that was also important to our former parents. But as with Synchrony, we have actually built on that. Our 7 networks are the Women's Network, the African Americans Network, Veterans Network, Asian Professionals Network, Hispanic Network, Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender Partnership, and our newest network, which I have a passion for, is a particular passion for, is our People with Disabilities Network. Each of these networks is structured around 3 pillars. How they're structured around attracting and retaining great talent. Mm-hmm. They're focused on growing and promoting that great talent once they become Synchrony, part of the Synchrony family. And they're also engaged in our communities. The 3rd pillar really aligns each of our networks, and here in Kettering, each of our networks has a strong partnership with one, if not multiple, community nonprofit organizations. And giving back is just something that's part of our culture, but it also gives them very important leadership skills and helps us recognize that we not only can be leaders within our walls, we've got to be leaders and drive impact and progress in our communities.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's a great approach. It's kind of unique. I've never heard of tackling this that way. Marsha, can you tell us about, about the DCDC's approach to diversity and how you kind of incorporate that into your organization?
And to Liz's point, when you talk about not only having understanding and appreciating inclusion and diversity within the organization, mm-hmm. but outside the organization as well. Mm-hmm. Our legacy is nearly 50 years old. It was in 1968 when Geraldine Blunden, who had, as a child, had been turned away from ballet companies in Dayton. Her mother decided, you know what, my daughter's going to learn ballet anyway. And so they devised a plan with a ballet teacher to teach classes to African American children in basements of schools and in hallways of churches and that kind of thing. And growing up with that and understanding how she had to work through that, I'm going to assume that she made a promise to herself mm-hmm. that when and if she developed her own company, which she did in 1968, that this was not going to be a problem, and she was not going to turn away anyone because of ethnicity, gender, or mm-hmm. In any other issue. So I think from 1968 on, she just decided this is who we are and what we're going to do. Also, in terms of when we were talking about Liz and taking your program, your ideas outside of the organization, we have included so many programs within school districts, close to 20 school districts, where we are including children who would never be exposed, more than likely, to dance, to the arts. Mm-hmm. So we use the arts to show inclusion, to appreciate diversity. Our staff is just about 50% female, male, white, black, LGBT. There is no discrimination with it. And plus with the arts, there's just no way. The arts is its own world, it's its own language.
Right.
So, discriminating within that culture would not be very smart anyway. So.
Right. I can imagine that having a diverse group of people working on the art brings all sorts of benefits. Can you talk about that? Oh, sure,
absolutely. When we are looked upon by our audiences, I think it creates an aura that, hey, everything is fine, everything is okay, look at this beautiful art that's being created by these wonderful people. And I think the things that go on in the world outside of that building or that venue are forgotten. Mm-hmm. I think people just concentrate on the beauty of what's happening there on the stage. I think people concentrate on what is being brought to the classroom by our dancers to individual schools. And I just think we should just sort of make some issues go away for that time period, that hour and 10 minutes or that 2-hour period. Right. But we have concentrated specifically on making sure that we represent the world, that our culture, our dance culture represents the world.
And I think that can be true in any work setting.
But
So-
it's concentrating on it and focusing on it and making sure that that is what you're doing and that is what is happening. Because you can talk about diversity with a lot of companies, but it can be on paper, but until it is actually reenacted, enacted rather, it's not worth much,
Right. So what would you say to a company that, to them, diversity is just something that happens? That they don't have to work at it. They don't have to make it a priority.
I think that it doesn't always happen organically. I think
Right.
if you are very serious about it, and if you understand that you have to reflect the world. I mean, you just can't isolate people with one gender or one ethnicity, because that's not real, And so when you focus on it, and when you, as Synchrony has done, obviously, has done a great job in that. It is reflective of who you are, and if that's the kind of company you want to have, it's difficult for you to be successful when the rest of the world is looking like something else.
Right.
Did you want to add to that, Liz?
No, I completely agree with everything that Marsha's just said, and it really is a source of competitive advantage for you to be able to leverage the talents, the perspectives, the different ideas, the experiences that people bring in your workforce. It's not just about getting people of a specific demographic profile on board, but it's providing a culture of inclusiveness where they feel they can contribute, they can engage, they feel they can thrive and shine, and that's what we're really about creating, because we know, again, at times when decisions that matter are on the table, having those different perspectives, it's going to enable clearer thinking, better judgment, better calls, and again, that spirit of creating innovation and the work that DCDC does, they get it. They get that their work, their beautiful dances that connect with people on so many different levels from so many different backgrounds, they're so good because they have brought all of that to the table. So in many ways, I feel our organizations are very similar in that regard.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a good point, actually, because we have talked a lot about the benefit of focusing on diversity for the organization. But it's not just a benefit for the organization itself or the business itself. It really pays off for the employees, people who are engaged with that organization. Can you talk, you mentioned that a little bit, Liz, but can you give me some details of what it means for your workforce?
Sure. So right now we're running a program, a pilot program out of our Kettering Business Operations Center that is all about hiring individuals with disabilities, people with disabilities. We're not creating carve-outs. We're not doing we're not doing made-up jobs that aren't critical to our business. But what we're saying is, if you're an individual that has a disability, come to Synchrony. We're a culture that gets it. We're a culture that wants you to be successful. We're a culture that will accept you, and we recognize that you have talents, you have skills, you have desires from a career aspirations perspective, and come to us. You can come and bring all of that and thrive. And it's actually been a very well-received message. A lot of employers are putting that message out there, and we're finding some great people in the local labor market. Through that pilot, I think that's one real tangible way that we are focusing in on one of our diversity and inclusion networks and finding some great people, and some people that other employers may overlook, or employees, to your earlier point, maybe potential candidates and employees, they didn't realize that, wow, there's an organization that appreciates me, appreciates what I'm bringing to the table, and they want me. And that gives people, candidates, confidence to apply. And that, for me, is very powerful. You're giving someone an opportunity and the confidence to know that, hey, the deck isn't stacked against you. We want you here. And we've got other individuals like you already here, and they're having a great experience, a great career, and the like. And again, that's what having people's hearts, their minds, their commitments, their passions, that's what will keep them with an organization. And if you don't have that, then look out. you're in danger of losing to your people to an organization that will create that for them.
Yeah.
For us, we have approximately 10 people on the administrative side and 14 dancers. And so when there's a call out for the dancers, we're not selecting you because you're Hispanic or because you're white or because you're African American. We are looking for dancers who understand that this particular style is rooted in the African American experience. And they come to us as dancers. They're not thinking, well, I'm a white dancer, can I do this? Or I'm Hispanic, can I do this? No, they come as dancers. So the world is the art. And it just so happens that we have a great mix of ethnicities. We have Hispanic dancers, we have Caucasian dancers, we have African American dancers, we have LGBT dancers. So when they come, and Debbie and Crystal are looking at their performance, their abilities, and also helping them understand that it is the power of the dance moves beyond the performance. You also have to be that person who goes into the community, who goes to the schools, who works well with people of all types, because our dancers are out there in the community. I mean, they don't just perform; they are very active within the county, everywhere they're being sent. And so when they, that is Crystal and Debbie, are looking for talent, that's what they're looking for. They're looking for that whole person, and it's also great for the dancer to feel comfortable. And I love quoting one of our dancers who just started. She came in the end of July, the 1st of August, and she said that she just loved being here because she feels humanity. She just feels humanity within the organization, and that was just a powerful statement for her to feel like that as a new dancer, not having been here, just planted, not really knowing anybody, and having to gel with people that she didn't know and to dance with them. And she already felt the humanity within the organization. So I just thought that was a powerful statement from her.
That really is. You know, at the chamber we say words all the time like workforce and retention and those sorts of things. I think that's a really human spin on the things that our businesses are always concerned with. And Liz, you mentioned it as well. When we talk to our businesses, their number one concern for several years has been workforce, finding the right people for their team and allowing those people to advance in their careers and stick around, honestly. And so this is why the Chamber really pushes things like diversity, because it helps to create that family feeling where they feel like they're a part of the organization and they want to stay there and they want to do their best and provide their best to the organization. So that's why we see this as being such a benefit for our businesses. So we really appreciate you sharing your stories. Liz, I wanted to talk to you a little more in depth about the networks you use. Do they meet regularly? How is it structured?
So in terms of how it's structured, the first thing is each network is funded with a budget. We are, committed to giving them the means to run the programs that they need to run for their networks, as well as programs that they work in many cases in partnership to run leadership development, resume writing, interview skills, lots of employee and also some fun things like some parties associated with events.
You always have to have a party, right?
Absolutely. Everybody, you want to have a good time at work. It just can't be all work and no play. So they're given the budgets and they have an operating governance structure based around the 3 pillars that I mentioned before, as well as we have 2 leaders for each network, given people do have day jobs, but it really helps get them aligned to priorities that they're focused on for the year, managing a calendar of events. They're also held accountable to ensuring that they are doing community service, as I mentioned before. And beyond their network involvement, they're also on the governance for our site. So it's something that not only comes with a great network and some fun, but it's a lot of work for our folks. And as such, leadership roles, ownership of events, project management, whether they're in a treasury function or they're owning communication, people who step up and raise their hand and say, I'm going to do this, and put in the extra time, because it truly is extra time. They're recognized in our promotional cycles and our performance review and our talent and succession processes. It's something that people realize that not only is it, perhaps a passion project for them individually, but it's something that senior leadership and management appreciates and will take into consideration as we're evaluating them for other opportunities and, bigger opportunities in our organization, because they're stepping up and they're leading.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you for some details. I thought maybe that would be interesting for some businesses to know in case they were looking at different ways they could incorporate diversity into their organizations. So winning this award, you just received officially the award at the NCCJ Friendship Dinner, which happened earlier in October, and you'll be recognized with the Dayton Area Chamber annual meeting, which is coming up in April of 2017. So you've got a lot of time here to be reigning champs, I guess. So what does it mean to the organization to be recognized in this way? Marsha, I'll start with you.
I think for us, it confirms what we have always projected. I really do. And we've been sort of, I guess you could say, the undercurrent quiet warrior, small but mighty, and always having represented this for years and years. And so for it to be publicly acknowledged, it gives us a pretty good feeling, but it also confirms that what we've been doing, we really know we've been doing the right thing, and not really searching for accolades or anything like that, but just knowing organically that this is what Geraldine Blunden, the legacy that she left, and that we've been carrying it properly, strongly, and proudly.
Absolutely. Liz, what about for Synchrony? What does it mean for?
Well, someone, an individual that I respect a great deal, came up to me and after the event and said, this is a big deal. You guys are a relatively new company.
Right.
And despite having a great legacy, for you to have accomplished this, given the recent separation and becoming a standalone bank only last November, this is huge. And at the table, that really was felt. And my employees are very dedicated. It's a lot of extra hours. It's a lot of passion. It's a lot of energy and commitment. And it's commitment to enriching themselves, which is a really important investment to make. But they know they're making our company stronger and will be better positioned for greater success long term by spending time in these areas. So it's a tremendous thank you and a compliment to our employees. And it's something that, we have this tendency to be so heads down that everybody just was really amazed and honored to have received. And with wonderful company like DCDs.
And to have sat at the table with the Synchrony employees, everything that she's saying is very humble, but and Heidi was really emotional. She was so emotional. You weren't able to really see that because you were giving your speech, but she was having a tough time keeping it all together. But having written the application, she was just extremely proud, and just there was a lot of gratitude. And this is a big company, you wouldn't think with all these employees, but you would not think that they would be as humble as they are. But the table was just filled with a lot of wonderful people that you work with.
Well, there were some wonderful people in the room, and again, so honored, but thank you. Thank you.
Well, I have to say our judging panel was very impressed with both of you, and you're right, it's Synchrony is fairly new to the community, and so we're so happy to see that you're so dedicated to the community and issues like this. And DCDC, having been around, you are a familiar name for us, and absolutely this is confirmation that the judges surely believe that you're doing the right thing in this arena for sure. So we want to thank you both for applying for the award. We appreciate that, for doing what you're doing every day, because we think it's really important. And I want to thank you for being here today and being on the show, sharing what you have to tell us. DCDC and Synchrony, as I said, they were both officially recognized at the NCCJ Friendship Dinner, which happened on October 24th. But they'll also be recognized at the Dayton Area Chamber of Commerce annual meeting, and that is scheduled for April 20th of 2017. So be sure to mark your calendar for that. And you can always register at DaytonChamber.org for any of our events. And if you'd like to learn more about the greater Greater Dayton Workplace Diversity Award. You can find more at daytonchamber.org. Since we just announced our winners, we won't be looking for applicants until in the summer of 2017, but mark your calendar for that as well. And if you want to keep up to date on Chamber events or any of the issues we're working on, you can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, or LinkedIn. Thanks so much and have a good day.
Most every town and city in our nation continues to see an expanding and changing demography based on the diversity of their citizens. This diversity, especially in the workplace, is a strength that enlightened employers embrace. Those that understand this changing world and nation want to use that diversity to better represent organizational cultural differences, work ethic, and strategic understanding of their customer base. We as a chamber and as a community have embraced many of these differences and have learned much from our business members about how to use the strategies aligned with diversity and inclusion. Today's program, highlighting our most recent recipients of our annual Greater Dayton Workplace Diversity Award, in which we partner with NCCJ, allows us to learn from peers who benchmark this organizational culture inside their organizations. We wish to congratulate Dayton Contemporary Dance Company and Synchrony Financial on winning the 2016 Greater Dayton Workplace Diversity Award and for modeling the way for others. This world and our region continues to change. Our local Welcome Dayton program is another example of the area's commitment to diversity and inclusion of others, a strategy that makes our community and businesses more attractive to others who want a successful career and life in our Miami Valley. Congratulations to our most recent honorees.